We are joined, Green Beret, Nate Boyer. We've had you on. You were one of our first guests when we started our podcast almost 5 years ago. Always love to have you. What you mean, the military, all the things you've done. How are you doing, sir?
I'm hanging in there, man. How are you doing?
We're doing great. We're doing really good.
Yeah, Nate.
We'll put that up closer to your
microphone a little closer right there.
There we go.
Yeah. So Nate, before we start talking about the unbelievable great work you do, merging vets and players, your Texas Longhorns were on the cusp. They were on
2 years in a row.
They're on the cusp.
2
years on. I will say that Craig, who's our other co-host, is not here, is an Oklahoma fan.
That sucks.
I went to Florida State, but my father was an Aggie, and Smokey is a Nebraska fan, so we have no love lost for Texas. I will tell you the angriest we are is that Steve Sarkisian has made it very difficult to dislike them anymore.
First of all, no love lost. Does that mean you have all the love?
No.
I don't understand what that term means.
Yeah, that's probably one of those. Yeah.
There's no love lost. That means you have found it all. You have it all.
No,
right? So you love Texas.
Yeah,
I love this.
We just talked about it. He's very close with Earl Campbell, so
great sausages.
They
really done a great job with his business.
Yeah. So, but it is it was easy, for a couple of coaching staffs to be like, man, they're just annoying, and now. They're not annoying. And that annoys me that they're not annoying because they're
hard to not like anymore.
Yeah,
Sarkisian's a great story, and we had him at Big 12 Media Day 3 years ago. He was fantastic, and from that point on, I said I want him to succeed.
Yeah, well, there's some parallels and different stories, different struggles, but with Pete Carroll, who I spent a short time playing for, but respect a lot. Like his first go round in the NFL when he was with the Jets and the Pats and all. It didn't go so hot. He was a high-stress guy. Didn't look like he was having any fun. And the scoreboard reflected that.
Yep.
And then he went back to college, went to USC. I think rebuilt himself before he rebuilt the program and kind of his philosophy and all that. And sort of this, overt positivity and enthusiasm even when things don't look like they're going so hot, which may seem annoying as well. But people respond to that, you know what I mean? And when you have that belief. And I think Sark, totally different personality, but similar. Like he kind of had to go through the darkness and screw up, and make some mistakes. Because he's obviously a brilliant football mind to kind of get to that place where he could work through that. And it's still not there yet because he hasn't gotten where he ultimately wants to go. But it's getting there, you know what I mean? And he's getting better every year. But that's that's interesting that you guys feel like it's annoying that he's not annoying.
Brilliant football mind is absolutely true. Right there on the 1 yard line. What were you doing? What were you saying? What were you going through emotionally?
Well, there's another parallel. Hand the ball to Marshawn.
With Pete Carroll, yeah.
That was a tough one. I mean, look, he got us there 2 years in a row, and of course, everybody in retrospect, you're just like, what are you doing pitching it 8 yards backwards when you're on the 2? And obviously didn't go so hot. But I am not a brilliant football mind, so I'm not going to even weigh in on that. But, you would like to think that you just hand it off and try to punch it in 3 times and see what happens but
but again, sometimes you got to get close enough to where it hurts even more. So when you get that opportunity, you break through it. It's even more exhilarating.
I agree. It was crazy though. I was not at the game this year, but I was at the game here last year when
Washington,
when we were out of it, and then all of a sudden they fumbled, and then they fumbled I think a clock management thing, and all of a sudden we're in the game. And we're driving, and we get down, and we're down 6 in the red zone again, and
throwing it in the end zone.
And almost, and it was close.
Yep.
It's a tough one. It's a heartbreaker. I mean, I think last year, who knows what's going to happen, but Michigan was probably a better football team. They probably, if I were to guess, they maybe beat us. But I think this year, if we would have beat Ohio State, I think we would have beat Notre Dame too. So that's why it hurts a little bit more. I don't know. You never know. But it feels like that's maybe the way it would have went.
But there was 10 years where they weren't going to do that. There was a 10-year drought, man.
Yeah. It was rough. It was very rough. I mean, I left in 2014. That was Charlie Strong's first year, and that was his only bowl game he went to. And then after that, I think he had two or maybe 3 more seasons of 5 and 7 or whatever it was. And then Tom Herman came in. One good year in there, Sugar Bowl win over Georgia, but by and large, disappointing. And, and then Sark comes in 5-7 the first year, and which that year started like, did we lose the last 6 games or something? It started solid. I mean, at least we're 4-1 maybe.
Yeah, and then a free fall.
And we just would get ahead and third quarter woes and lose the game, and it just kept happening. But it's in some weird way, maybe it kind of had to, just to purge all that stuff. Learn how to lose so you get that taste in your mouth. You know how much you hate it, so you can learn how to win, and then build from there. And so we got to get over that hump though. That Final Four hump.
Sark's real accomplishment is doing what Charlie Strong and Tom Herman couldn't do, which is rebuild the culture. Is that 2005 was like the best and worst thing that can happen to a place like Texas, like a long drought not winning, then all of a sudden you win, and then everybody around you tells you how great you are. But 2005 team, those teams were great. Like the teams after, like the one that lost to Alabama, those are great teams.
Colts era.
They went through it, right? They went through the wars to get there after, another drought. They had built it back up, and then there were a bunch of guys coming in that thought like, well, I'm just going to be Vince Young tomorrow. Like, I'm here, I'm in Austin, I put the helmet on, I've got the superpowers. Sark was the one who came in and said, none of that is true.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and that's really when I got there. I got there in 10, right when it all started to slow down. And it was, we were still, like I said, we were 8-5, 9-4 teams under Mac when I was playing, but until my last senior year, then we were, 6-6 with Charlie and got our tails whipped in the Texas Bowl. But yeah, it was different. There was that sense of entitlement, and just this. This is just. Well, I'm just going to show up and it's all going to go my way.
So you kind of experienced that. You could feel it as a player within that.
You could feel it, and not all the time, and not with every player.
Right.
I would definitely not say that, but there was a lot of people that were just there because it was cool to be there. You know what I mean? And it's the Longhorn logo and the mystique and the whatever and the alumni and but not really doing what needs to be done to win. And that certainly has changed. There's still a mystique. There's still all of that, and there's still a lot of pride in that logo and just wanting to be a part of that. But at the same time, there is a difference in that culture shift in the work. I do fear, at the same time, that because it happened that first year with Coach Prime in Colorado, they had all this stuff on the side. Every celebrity in town's coming to every game, and they went 4-8. You know what I mean? And there was all this. They're 3-0 after going to double overtime with Colorado State, and everyone's like, "Is this a playoff?"
That was an amazing game.
It was an amazing game, but everyone's like, "Is this a playoff team?" And I was like,
No,
this is not a playoff.
No.
Calm down. And then they got super humbled, but they had all these, and then all that stuff kind of wore off, and Dion recalibrated, and they had a great year this year, and it could have been even better. But they had not only a Heisman Trophy winner, but just a complete turnaround in the win-loss column, and really building to something because they got it's the same kind of thing. So I'm worried there might be something that I hope not. I hope it gets axed because right now it's like we're the hot team, we're the cool team again, and it's like everybody wants to wear Longhorn stuff around and all that. But I'm like, all right, cool, but like find a way to stay humble here.
Yeah, you gotta earn it. We just had Mac on the show a couple weeks ago, and he's moving back to Austin. He's getting back in the TV game. Just your thoughts on the legacy that he leaves in college football coaching as one of the greats of all time.
I mean, he was. You said it. Was it not? It's either 9 or 10 straight years of 10-win seasons, which is amazing in its own right. But then, obviously, anytime you win a national championship, it doesn't matter where you're at. It's an incredible thing. There's 120 some odd teams or whatever there is to get that done. And in his era, it's like you cannot lose.
No,
pretty much. Maybe one game. But you pretty much got to win all the games. That's just how it works if you want to get that shot. It's different now with the 12-team playoff and maybe the 16 if we get there, which I don't mind. I like it because I don't think your whole season, if you have one bad game, your whole season should not be dictated off that. But anyway, Mac he's awesome. He's the ultimate, like, what stuck out to me was how he always embraced and remembered the alumni and the alumni's mom and the alumni's brother and everybody and just like went out of his way. before I even walked on, I was in the military. He did a USO tour, a trip to, and I didn't meet him there, but he was over in, I think I was in country as well. I don't remember if he was in Iraq or Afghanistan, or maybe he went to both. But I heard this story that, and there was other coaches there as well, and I'm sure they were all I'm not saying they were disrespectful in this regard, but he made the helicopter stay and wait while he shook every hand of the people, because there was a lot of, folks in the military, they're out there wanting to meet these coaches, and the bird was like, we got to go, and he was just like, just give me 5 minutes, because I'm going to deliberately do this for every person. I'm going to look them all in the eyes and tell them thank you and all that. That's just who he is. And when you're that kind of person first, you're just going to be a better coach. Take the X's and O's out of it.
That meant a tremendous amount to those soldiers. Yep, I mean, that is yeah. Have you ever met Dion?
No, yes, I have. I actually went during COVID. I'd met him once in person, but during COVID, I went on NFL Network. They had we did do these virtual, not town halls. That's not the right word, but we would just kind of talk about stuff and it was on TV or whatever. So we went on with him there, and it was cool because it was before he was coaching. But he was talking about MVP, which was special. So, yeah.
Let's talk about MVP, merging vets and players. This is, it's such and we've talked about this with you before in past years, but the experience of an NFL player in particular, with the kind of injuries that they have, and the kind of life that they live, and look, athletes in general, but NFL and then soldiers who, when you're a soldier, your life is dedicated to being a soldier. You are, you're doing that job, which is a calling.
Right.
And then football, like, you're pushed into football, and it's football, and then it just ends. Like, it's not, the lucky ones like Elway get to pick when they go out. So a lot of vets get to retire when they want to, but a lot of them don't. And it's a weird thing to have to deal with as a human being, and there's a lot of weight behind it. So what are the kind of things that you guys are doing now to raise that awareness and get people, knowing what it is to bring people together and find that common ground?
Yeah, I mean, that's really it. We have so much more in common than we have that's different, and vets and athletes share so many similarities with the career ending young, and I mean, they're physically demanding jobs, and you peak at a young age physically anyway, and maybe mentally in some ways too, emotionally, but yeah, it's just the common struggle is kind of feeling alone, and that's life. That's just people. And transitions generally are just hard, whether it's relationship, career, your youth, whatever it is. It's tough to let go of that stuff. But what we really try to focus on preaching is not letting go of it, like embracing it, remembering it, being proud of it, and then utilizing it to find the next thing, and kind of reharness that energy and the expertise and skills that you learned, even if they don't seem transferable. Because it happens with vets a lot. It happens with athletes a lot. They're like, how is playing football or going to war going to translate to something else, And it's like, well, how did you become good at what you did? You probably sacrificed a lot. You probably worked harder than everybody else around you. You probably rose to the occasion, focused. In dire times, you showed up and you didn't quit. Like, all these things that a lot of people haven't done, or maybe aren't willing to do. So you're going to be, miles beyond some of these other folks, even though you don't quite understand, how to do your taxes yet, or whatever the heck it is. Like, you'll figure it out. You just got to be patient with it and remember who you are, because who you are is that can translate into doing incredible things, whatever that avenue may be.
How was the transition for you?
It was challenging after football. So military, not so much, because I went into another locker room with a new purpose and a new team and a new uniform that I identified with, and I was part of something, the camaraderie, and that I didn't realize it. I didn't think about it at the time until football was over, and then it was like, oh wow, now I can get up whenever I want, I can eat whatever I want, and it's nice for a couple weeks, maybe a month even. But then you're like, all right.
You can only binge watch The Sopranos so many times, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that was the transition for me was, but I was fortunate to have people like Jay Glazer, to have other people from the veteran community in my life that were like, man, so proud of you, even though you got cut. Watching your story and seeing everything. And Chris Long, for example, called me the next day about his organization, Water Boys, and was like, hey, I want to do something with vets, to help this clean water crisis. And I feel like you could help that because he was already working with a lot of NFL players. So it was like, instead of, I think a lot of people maybe, or a lot of times even myself in the past would be like, I'm just not up to it right now. I'm just feeling, because you're feeling down. And you just let yourself get sucked into that space instead of like saying yes and being like, all right, sure.
Sure. Yep.
And then all of a sudden you're doing that thing, you're showing up, and it's like pulling you out of it because you've got a new purpose, and you got a new focus, and you forget about, it's like getting over a lost love. You got to meet other people.
Yeah.
You got to find somebody else. And if you sit there on your couch and cry all day, you're never going to meet anybody, and it's never going to go away. You got to do something about it,
Yeah.
So
whose idea was it to climb Mount Kilimanjaro?
that was mine, but Chris had already done it.
Okay.
But it was my idea to bring together vets and athletes as a group to go climb and raise money throughout the year for Water Boys, for these clean water wells in East Africa.
You're only 2 weeks away from that, right?
Yeah. I got sciatica right now, so I'm battling and trying to get that cleared up because it's painful. I don't know if you've ever had that or know what it is.
Yeah, I have it.
You have it?
Yeah,
It's not fun. Yeah.
No.
It's basically your sciatic nerve gets pinched from your
you
spine.
probably have it, yeah.
Shoots down your leg. Yeah.
I have a nerve. I went to urgent care earlier this afternoon because it's got such an amazing searing pain in my left shoulder blade. And it shuts you down. You don't want to. You want to just go to bed,
sucks.
take a nap for 10 hours.
And the weird thing about nerve pain is it's like neurological. So I don't even know if it's real, but we feel it.
And
Like
you really
it's a
can't-
weird thing.
Yeah, it's like a muscle. You could, there's a muscle or a ligament or whatever. No, it's. I'm not
strange.
comparing that to a sciatic nerve, but it's been a process this week for me.
So, what is your mountain climbing experience in general? That is, I mean, like.
I've done Kilimanjaro 3 times.
Oh, you didn't Kilimanjaro? Okay.
I've done that.
Okay.
So
I look, you're a Green Beret. I know, they're not going to drop you like, hey guys, who doesn't like mountains?
Yeah, exactly.
If you don't like mountains, if you're more of a water guy, like
the Navy.
the Navy, do that. Yeah, they don't ask you those questions, right?
No, but I mean, I'd never been up that high. I'd been, like Pikes Peaks, 14,000 or something.
Right.
I'd done that. I'd done Mount Whitney, but I hadn't done Kili, which is 19,341 feet.
How long does it take?
We do it in about 5 or 6 days, and most of that's going up.
Right.
We count coming down as well. So you do about 6 or 7 miles a day, easy pace, but you're gaining altitude, so you feel that fatigue, and you're getting tired and weak, and lightheaded.
Yeah.
But it's worth it. It's really cool. Waterboys.org. And vetsandplayers.org. Definitely check those out.
Vetsandplayers.org. Again, we had you on. We loved having you on. You're inspiring to people, and what you've been through and what you do, what you represent.
Yeah.
We're all military brats in some particular way. So
awesome.
Fort Cavazos, Fort Hood, and it's right there, right in the middle of where we are, down in Waco.
It's an hour and a half from Austin.
Yep, absolutely.
Yep.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate
you, brother.
it. Nate Boyer, Green
see you
Beret.
guys.
It is vetsandplayers.org at the Super Bowl in New Orleans.